Intro music.
Come on in.
A star for the ages for Tony Gwynn, number 3,000.
And the ball game is over. The series is over. Welcome to Slam Diego.
My name is James.
My name is Joey.
And this is the Brothers Padres.
James, on this sweet day the Lord has made, another episode of Brothers Padres.
Oh, good.
Yes, James. How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm getting over a cold my younger brother gave me.
Wow. Well, you have so many younger brothers, so who's to say which one it was?
Who's to say which brother I hung out with a week ago that was like, oh, I'm not sick. And then all of a sudden, everybody in the family.
I wasn't sick. My daughter was sick.
Oh, he who blames his children, huh?
Yeah, well, that's what they're for, just to have all my blame.
Okay.
That's not true. I don't blame them for anything.
We would have done this podcast sooner.
Yep.
But everybody in the family had a fever.
Yeah, it's been a rough time in our household and your household. It's been a cataclysmic set of events where none of us were well at the same time. So
No.
Our last episode was 20 days ago,
Something
a while
like that.
ago, right before Christmas. So
Yeah.
Here we are on the year 2023, new horizons, new season, the Padres baseball, and where's our first episode? It's gonna be pretty fun.
First episode 23 promises to be a decent Padre here.
Yeah, it is. We struck the iron while it was hot when we started this podcast. So every season we have said the same thing, which is that it is the highest expectation of any Padres season that preceded it. And I can faithfully say that's the same thing going to be for 2023.
And let me put it this way. 2021 season, the first year of the podcast, it tested us. Like,
Oh, yeah.
We were all, it's going to be the greatest season ever. And then we're going to stick it through. And the Padres, they tested us.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were many times during that, let's call it a kerfuffle, where we went from a good team to not good team. We were like, should we even keep doing this?
Yeah, the September episodes from 2021 of the dark times, the darkest times of this podcast, and I would not encourage you to listen to it. Just skip them.
We were considering maybe we could be switched to a ladies lacrosse podcast, just something.
But James, the 2023 season looks incredible, and we keep adding on. Recently, within the past week, the Padres finalized a deal to sign one Nelson Cruz for a $1 million. I don't know if you can call a show me deal when he's 42 years old and he leads the majors in the past 10 years in home runs, but it's kind of a show me deal, kind of a, hey, let's see if you win a ring with us deal. Nelson Cruz is an elder statesman, if you're not aware I'd say it's of Dominican Republic players. He is beloved by players from the DR. He destroys the baseball. In the 2010s, he was the best power hitter in baseball. And he's playing for our San Diego Padres as a designated hitter. After a down year with the Washington Nationals, he's joined the San Diego Padres. What are your thoughts, James? What are your feelings? Tell me them all.
His down year, he said, because he's going to be 43 by the time the season starts, was because he needed LASIK eye surgery and he couldn't see the ball. But he claims his eyesight's great now. Last year we signed Robertson Cano.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Unlike Robertson Cano, Nelson Cruz has a better recent history of being a more productive player. Nelson Cruz is beloved amongst all Latin American players. He is the general manager and manager of the DR International team. And he can murder left-handed pitching. Him and Albert Pujols' left-handed pitching stats are very, very similar. And he was an all-star 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
his downside is less than what Robinson Cano was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think even the upside of Cruz is much higher than the upside.
Absolutely.
Of Cano. Yeah. Yeah.
When we signed Cano, we knew that he wasn't going to be a power hitter at all.
No.
Cruz is a proven power hitter, proven leader. Every Manny Machado called him his dad. Everyone loves this guy. The very least, even if he and what was the one thing that we didn't have last year? A threat off the bench. If say we're starting a right-hander and we have Carpenter as a DH. Our best pinch hitter last year was Jorge Alfaro. And he had the 5 walk-offs, but I remember those are probably his only 5 pinch hit. I mean, a few of those were only a couple of hits he got in pinch hitting situation. We've added a significant depth piece on our bench if he's not starting as a DH. And if, say, they're rotating people in to get days off, we've given Soto a day off. Oh, but we need a spot in the lineup. It just seems it fixed, in my opinion, the worst part about our hitting last year. No depth pieces.
Yep.
And him and Carpenter, it's unbelievable. I said this before the podcast. Matt Carpenter, all-star, and if he can have the same kind of start to a year that he had last year, all-star numbers.
Yeah.
Nelson Cruz was an all-star a couple years ago at 40. I think he was the second oldest all-star of all time. Jake Cronenworth has been an all-star the last 2 years. And then we get it to our really good guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's insanity that we have such, holy cow. And no, there's nothing bad about having a leader that's well respected and can still hit a ton.
No, I agree. I think it's a fun signing. I think Nelson Cruz is kind of a character too. He's kind of I don't know if you're familiar with him, and if you're not, he's made a lot of money in his life.
Yes.
Okay. He doesn't need more money. But he rolls with a posse. He has people that read his text messages. He's an ardent napper. He brings a portable bed with him wherever he goes. So he takes a nap. He's very serious about sleep. He's just a very funny guy. And he loves to teach, and he loves to be that captainish character. And that's really cool. I think it'll be a fun addition to the San Diego Padres. And I think it's going to be cool to see. Last year, Robbie Cano, the best thing he did was really mentor Jose Azocar. And Jose Azocar is at best a slap hitter that just can get some doubles more than singles sometimes.
He didn't have a single home run all year.
Yeah, he's not a power hitter.
No.
But he improved his approach at the plate, and you could tell that Azocar really soaked up the knowledge of Robinson Cano. Well, you basically replace that with Nelson Cruz, a guy who's considered one of the hardest workers in the sport. You don't get a contract when you're 42, about to be 43, unless you have something proven about you. And yes, we got to put it out of the way. He was a Texas Ranger in the early 2010s. We get it. AJ Preller loves his early 2010 Texas Rangers. He drafted all of them. So we get it. He's a little biased, but I think legitimately this is if he doesn't do well, oh well.
Exactly.
I'm not saying this flippantly. I'm saying this in the vacuum of player contracts. It's only $1 million. That's only $200,000 more than the minimum. Whatever, right? It doesn't cost that much money. It could have huge benefits to people like Azocar, Igor Rosario, even people like Trent Grisham, who struggled mightily, right? And you add this, you really add in this Padres, with Carpenter and Cruz, you had two established big leaguers that have gone through the ringer in their career of being who have been super bad and had to overcome it and become better. And that's that kind of knowledge is like incredibly beneficial, and I'm super stoked for it. So,
and both of them are leaders, and both of them will take, like, Manny Machado is the leader of the clubhouse without a doubt. But when you have two elder statesmen, ambassadors to leadership, Cruz could be like, I'll go smack Junior in the head. You sit there. That's fine, you know? And can you imagine being one of the younger players and having Nelson Cruz, Manny Machado, Matt Carpenter, and Xander Bogart coming up to your locker like, hey, man, don't do that again.
Or people like Luis Camposano, who Camposano has this is his biggest year of his career. We'll be talking about it. Well, up until the season start, we'll be having preview episodes of what to expect and things to look out for. But Camposano, we'll talk about Camposano. It looks like we're not going to get another catcher, and that's fine. But it means he has to like really step up. And you and I both like him. We both think he's way better than people say he is. But you know, he has to being around those kind of people is going to be helpful for him too. And it's going to be exciting to have those guys around. It'd be fun.
Yes, it is. I can't think of there is no downside to signing Nelson Cruz. And even if he doesn't do well, I don't see, unless he's just like lost at the plate, he's going to be on our roster the whole year.
Yeah.
Because he still has a good eye on the plate. He can still draw walks. And if he does connect, he'll hit it 5,000 feet.
Yep.
That's the advantage of having someone like that on the bench. It's going to be amazing. This offense, I think might be the most potent offense in baseball as far as how many runs it could potentially score.
So the difference between the start of the season last year and we'll just say April 20th for some reason this year is the addition in the Padres lineup of Xander Bogaerts, Tatis Jr., Matt Carpenter, Cruz platoon. Right, that's the difference. And then you also have Juan Soto, which is let's not forget him.
Yeah.
The guy is projected to have a 440 on base percentage next year. Like, what?
Isn't it just, we're spoiled for choices. Whose jersey do you buy?
I don't know, man. I thought it was cool that Trent gave up his number to Xander Bogaerts. So
yes.
But Trent being the kind of guy like, well, I'm going to be, no one has one, I'm going to pick one. Yeah, well, you would, Trent. And that's cool. That's good for him.
I really think Trent's going to have a great season this year. Just because we've talked about before, like if there's any kind of situation where you have to pitch to Trent Grisham, you're not going to, if he's batting ninth, you're not going to want to then face Junior, Soto, Machado, and just like, holy cow.
Yeah.
He's going to see a lot of good pitches.
I think that, I think you could, if Matt Carpenter is serviceable on the field, there's good chances you will see Cruz and Carpenter in a lineup. It's just a matter of how serviceable Carpenter is and what's the second base situation going to be.
Well, I do think if nothing else changes, up the first 2 weeks, the first 20 days of baseball, Matt Carpenter is going to be in left field or right field, and then you're going to have Cruz is DH, and when Tatis comes back, that's when you're going to see more changing around. And then, since we have so many guys that can play so many different positions, you know, Manny Machado might be a DH one day, and we won't lose any power in the offense or defense, and it's going to be a great season.
But you mentioned it. If nothing else changes, and obviously, if you are like us and you split hairs about the roster every day of your life, you'll notice something about our starting pitching, which is, some of the best three pitchers in baseball are part of it. And then there's other guys after that. And I like those other guys, but they're not proven, for lack of a bad term, horses in the major leagues. The Padres have effectively signed, let me count them. Brent Honeywell, that's 1. Julio Teheran, that's 2. Wilmer Font, that's 3. Nick Martinez, that's 4. Adrian Morejon, that's 5. Who else?
Seth
Lugo, right? Who's been told he's gonna be a starter.
Yeah.
6. And who else?
Ryan Weathers.
7 guys that have all started before, that have all had varying degrees of success starting over a long season, who are supposed to fill out 2 or 3 rotation spots. It's a big gamble. It gives me flashbacks to a certain 2021 season. Where we signed anyone with a pulse to start games for us. And I don't like that feeling. But then again, you do have lots of options. So the rumor is the Padres are not necessarily out on starting pitching. And currently the belief is second base or center field, Trent Grisham or Ha-Seong Kim can both be traded and we wouldn't feel the effect of it. Or rather, those are both people that could get a good starter, someone who's pitched more 150 innings, who can pitch those innings, right? Because last year we had Clevenger and Mania, and we all know how that worked out in the postseason, but they did throw innings for us, and that's all in the regular season that matters, just throwing a bunch of innings. So I guess that question for you, James, is Ha-Seong Kim or Trent Grisham being traded to someone like the Marlins for us to get a proven and controllable starter?
I like Ha-Seong Kim a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, and I've brought this up in the podcast before, with the banning of the shift, elite infield defense is going to be a high value player. So I think if we were to trade Kim, which I don't think we should get a decent pitcher for him. Grisham is a gold star center fielder, gold glove center fielder, and gold star.
Everyone loves him. He gets gold stars all the time.
Yeah, they always hang a star on his plays. I think if it was just a straight up trade for Grisham for a pitcher, we won't get as good of a pitcher. Kim would get a better pitcher. I would rather see both of them still on the team because, again, I think our offense right now can score a lot of runs, and key defensive people in key defensive positions are going to be very, very valuable. It would just suck. I mean, I see why we would do it. And also, so yeah, we have 7 potential players to fill in 2 or 3 spots. And who knows? We also forgot Reese Kinnear. He's going to be in that run as well. So 8 players for 3 potential spots.
And people to fill in potentially with injuries for the other 3.
If we go with a 6-man rotation or a 5-man rotation, they're still up for debate. I don't know. I personally think we're not going to add anybody until if we need somebody by a trade deadline, then Kim and Grisham might be in the trading block. Because if there is a team out there that has an extra starter but can't save runs for the life of them, I don't want to throw this out there, but there is a team in the National League East that has a pretty good pitching staff, but one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. And if the Phillies need a defense, we could probably trade a Kim for a Nola or somebody like that, because the Phillies
fan will not like you, FS.
The brothers Phillies are, you know what? Whatever. And anyways, so here's the thing. Obviously not a Nola, but a good starting pitcher. Because they have a really good offense, but none of their guys can catch the ball, except for Bryce Harper, and he can't play every position.
He can't play until June anyway.
I know. So, like, I have a feeling defense is going to be a real key issue again in baseball and a high market thing. I think we're not going to, if we trade Kim or Grisham, it won't be until the trade deadline.
I think you're probably right. It feels so tenuous, right? It feels like we're just going to roll the dice on these 8 people to fill the innings and hope. Because what really is what's happening is you're hoping that one completely breaks. Nick Martinez was a good 4 to 5 inning starter.
Yeah,
when he was a starter last year, he wasn't great past that. Incredible out of the bullpen. That's been established, right? So but what it feels like is that Ruben Niebla is like, oh, I'm going to make one of these guys incredible, and you hope it works out. Like all these guys have good stuff.
His track record's proven he can do it.
Yeah, Wilmer Font threw 184 innings last year in the KBO. I know as a KBO, that's still a lot of innings.
Yes,
still a lot of innings to just be that durable and that good. Brent Honeywell has been plagued with injuries his entire career, but has incredible stuff. Throws a screwball. No one throws screwballs anymore. Pretty fun. His name Honeywell. That's fun. He's like a lawyer.
I was thinking like
we didn't mention that we signed him. We signed Brent Honeywell.
Yeah, we should. I mean, Honeywell in theory should go to the Brewers because it would be, Woodruff, Burns, and Honeywell.
Oh, that's a look at you. That's a good pick.
Are you suffering from mesothelioma? Then call the law firm at Woodruff, Burns, and Honeywell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he had a track record of doing this with the Indians, the Guardians. They were the Indians when he played.
Yeah.
When he was a coach with them.
That's how much of an impact he has. When he leaves the team, they have to change.
We're not the same anymore.
We're not the same. We have to change his name because that's how big of an impact he was in that team. It had nothing political whatsoever to do with anything.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see. I'm very curious how spring training works out because this is what I think is going to happen. Half those guys are going to get shelled in spring training, just wrecked, and that happens fairly often in spring training to pitchers. But I think it's just going to be like a lot of these guys haven't pitched in the major leagues or by the injury or because they're in foreign leagues in a while, and just. Not everyone's Robert Suarez who just comes out or Nabil Krismat and has had an incredible spring. We didn't mention Nabil Krismat. Nabil Krismat could be stretched into a starter as well.
True.
That's where it gets interesting, right? Like are the Padres going to be raised and just have a bunch of long guys? Right, a bunch of 2 or 3 inning guys.
We can have 3 reliable starters, and then the back 2 end bullpens like the Rays do. I'm okay with that. Like I said, I really think, and this is just me looking at the league of defense, because I keep saying that bad of a shift, defense is going to be at a premium. Come June and July, teams will know that they need to improve their defense. We have this one starter, but I mean, yeah, it sucks to give him up. But if we lose one more game because our second baseman has a hole in the middle of his body that balls just keep shooting through.
Yep.
Because the Phillies didn't sign their best defensive infielder. And Gene Segura was not that good of a defensive infielder.
So funny. Speaking of good defensive infielders that play for good teams, the San Diego Padres have one on the third base named Manny Machado.
This pisses me off that we even have to talk about it.
Wow, I didn't know we're going to be a swearing pod today. But I have mentioned it previously in the pod, and this is a very heated issue between you and I. Because I make jokes about it in a dark sort of way, and you don't like it very much. So, Manny Machado All-Star, top 5 MVP vote getter, Gold Glover. I would say most likely future Hall of Famer. Has an opt-out after this year. His agent was very smart because he looked at every pending free agent when Manny signed the contract in 2019 and said, there's no one in 2023. So that's the year he should opt out so he could have potential for highest earnings later in his career. That's what agents do. They're concerned with your money. They don't really care about your feelings. So it's fans' feelings. It's rude, but fair. So anyways, so he has an opt-out after this year. And that has caused a lot of discussion amongst Padres fans and fans of other teams. There is a team in New York City called New York Metropolitans. I don't know if you're familiar with them, owned by one Steve Cohen, who I think when you think of Steve Cohen, think of Scrooge McDuck diving into a mound of gold coins. That's his persona.
Think Scrooge McDuck with none of the charm or likability.
Right. Lots of money. Doesn't really care about saving any of it. Wants to spend it all on his baseball team, which is, I think, very good for the sport. Poor owners may not like it, but whatever. Be better. Not my fault you're spending $2 on your players. Spend, I don't know, $20. Try it out, But they had a very tumultuous time recently with one Carlos Correa, which last episode we said he was going to be a Met. Weird twist, he's going to be a Twin. So he went from $350 million from the Giants to $315 million to the Mets to finally $200 million for a 6-year deal for the Twins. So there is a lot of Mets fans were very annoyed by losing out on a third baseman / shortstop. And now they're saying like, oh, well, Machado's going to opt out and we're just going to sign him. And that leads you to be very angry.
No, what leads me to be very angry is who do the Mets fans think they are? I'm well aware of baseball history. Yes, I realize they have more World Series than the Padres. Yeah. But every team but one has more World Series victories than the Padres do. And because we're tied with 0. I just... Actually, 2, the Rays as well. But... just because something's available doesn't mean it's going to happen. I don't know. Did you not see Carlos Correa's thing? It's also like, what do you think? No, just because he's going to opt out doesn't mean you're just going to give a bunch of money for Manny Machado. The Mets fans just assume because their owner is Mr. Moneybags, they're just going to sign everybody. No, it's not how it works. And it's not even like they're already, and also the Mets are already preparing for 2024, like 2023, they're not going to win. That just tells me that their whole Mets mentality, they've already given up on their season. They've already given up on their team. Their whole fan base, oh, well, we didn't get Correa. That means we're not going to win this year. And they might not, but what do you guys are nuts. Right. And just the sheer ignorance of like, oh, and I don't even know if that's the right word. Just
the audacity of it.
The audacity of it to be like, oh, well, we're just going to get Machado next year. No, it doesn't mean anything. Right. Just because he has an opt-out doesn't mean he's going to do it. Doesn't mean he's going to, and we're going to talk about it in a second, but Machado's not going anywhere. It bugs me when just because their fan base, just because their owners have paid for a bunch of money, but guess what, Mets fans, you might not make it to the playoffs this year. You're in the most competitive division in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And your 2 best pitchers are one slip and fall away from being in hospice. Like, I'm sorry. Like, yeah. Like they when your number 1 and number 2 starters have life alerts on their shirt, if I've fallen, I can't get up. This is a problem. Like I just think this is no, you guys don't just can say it. And we were talking before the podcast, if the Marlins can somehow find 2 more runs a game, they'll have the best team in that division because they have the best pitching staff.
Right.
No, Mets. No. You guys just worry about you now, and don't tell me that we're going to lose the best player in our franchise because you feel like it. You don't get everything you want. Life isn't that way. Sorry.
Wow, moral lesson today. Moral lesson on January 14th. Wasn't expecting it, but we got it. I'll say one thing about this whole deal. The Mets fan base, there's always a chance in this world that what you want happens. I'll give them that. But as I said previously, Dan Lozano, the agent of Manny Machado, was very smart. There are only 2 good free agents next year. You know what they are, James? Shohei Ohtani and Manny Machado. Do you know how many teams there are in Major League Baseball?
30.
You don't, you're not going to, let's just say, for example, let's just say in this world, this is a narrative we don't believe, but I'm just going to, anytime you deal with intellectual effort, it's best to look at the other side, as they say. So we're going to look at the other side. The other side is this. Manny Machado and Peter Seidler have a huge falling out. Peter Seidler calls him ugly and just kicks his dog. And very bad. Super ugly. TMZ's there, right? We get it. So Manny Machado opts out. Right? Because I can't be around when owner kicks my dog. Right?
Yeah.
Peter Seidler is way nicer. I'm not saying he would. It's just for the sake of the argument.
I got what you're doing.
You mean to tell me that a team that offered Aaron Judge $350 million, who offered Carlos Correa $350 million, is not going to offer Manny Machado the same contract in the San Francisco Giants? You mean to tell me that there's only one organization that needs one superstar? Steve Cohen may have endless amounts of money, but he does not. I truly believe this. If Manny Machado makes the free agency and Padres are not part of the discussion, you can't, the Mariners would be on him. Everyone would, and someone's going to float a ridiculous offer to him. Even the Marlins could.
You know what team desperately needs a third baseman because they hate Josh Donaldson and they have a ton of money? The New York Yankees.
Yeah. And Manny Machado with that short porch and Ryan, the short, he would hit 500 home runs in 2 days.
Yeah.
It's just, you just can't, this idea that suddenly, A, that they're going to get him, and B, that they're the only team that would want him and have the means to get him. Anyone would want a durable third baseman like him. It's insane to me that it's we're going to get him. It's no, there's only 2 good free agents. So you have to be at a place where you're willing to overspend. And I honestly think that they just aren't going to do it. But the narrative you and I believe is that the Padres are just not going to let him walk. And he'll be a Padre the rest of his career.
Yes.
Peter Seidler has said our very strong intent is to have Manny Machado here for the rest of his career. So his opt-out would end his $300 million contract 4 years early, right? He's going to opt out or have it be extended. Those are the 2 realities, because he is not leaving $120 million on the table, which he could opt out right now and get another $300 million contract, which effectively would be $120 more than his current contract. So total earnings in free agent contracts would be $420 million in his career. And he's going to do that. He will get that money, right? Because he's a smart guy, and he's someone that he's not going to just leave that on the table, right? But I believe fully that it's either going to be the Padres are going to float a big, huge offer in front of him, extension, or they're just going to let him opt out and they're going to give him another contract with a lower AAV but more value. So he's just like Bogarts, will play until he's 41, 42, and his total earnings will be $440 million, which is bananas.
Yeah, I think they're gearing for something big with Machado, because for those of you who don't know, Manny Machado and Peter Seidler has been on a private plane flying around the country this offseason, visiting other ballparks at how they've done their clubhouses, because the Padres are hoping next offseason to rebuild the clubhouse and rebuild the locker rooms, all that kind of stuff. And Peter Seidler wanted Manny Machado's input. I think there's going to be some sort of crazy deal where maybe Manny Machado is going to be like a part owner of the team, and he'll get some of the money from the team's direct money from the team's profit. I don't know how they're going to work that out, but I think they're doing something like that. They're going to make him captain. They're going to do something big with Manny Machado, because Manny Machado is the voice and face of this team. He might not now be the best player on our team, but he's the leader of the team, and without him signing that major contract, the Padres would not be in this position they are right now.
No.
We needed a player to take a chance on the Padres, and he was that player, because there were plenty of other teams that were offering him $300 million contracts. And he wanted to be somewhere where he could stay and be a franchise player. And that's what is going to happen. I think Manny Machado is a Padre for life. And all of you Mets fans, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. You're bad. You're just off.
I think he's going to get paid in his life.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, I'm not worried about his seventh generation after him.
No. No, I think it's going to be, I have this like vision. So FanFest this year, Padres FanFest, you and I have been going for a while now. Always a fun time because you find very cheap hats there.
Very cheap hats.
It's we won't tell you how he finds them, but it's James's hack in life that he uses every year to find very cheap hats.
It's because they mark down all of the promotional hats they do all year long. They're usually a third the price that they are regularly, and they're fitted hats, and my size head are the only size left.
Yeah, and it's very obnoxious when I'm trying to find a hat. It's like, oh, I'm like wearing a trench coat, but it's a hat, you know. But you're like, oh, this fits me perfectly.
It is the best thing in the world. I'm looking at like 8 or 9 different hats, and everyone else is just can't find a single hat to fit them, because only hats that are left at the end of the year are big heads. It's great. But it's my Christmas.
FanFest is going to happen. Xander Bogaerts going to be there. Juan Soto's going to be there. Tatis is going to be there, and Manny Machado is going to be there. It's going to be insane. The first time ever, Padres had to stop giving away tickets to FanFest, so it's going to be really busy. But my vision is that all 4 of those guys are on the stage, and they announce basically extensions for both Soto and Machado as like, here's your core 4 Penny Padres fans for the next 9-10 years. How awesome would that be? I get goosies about it. I got goosies. Right? And like that just would be incredible. And it's, I think Peter Seidler and AJ Preller are not ones to, being conservative is not their style.
No.
They, if you think about it this way, they were willing to overspend on Judge and Trey Turner, and they really like Manny Machado. And I think Siler's a very loyal person. I just think I think you're right. Something big is going to happen. I think whether it's a wink, wink, oh yeah, you're going to opt out sort of deal, where he'll opt out, and the next day he has another monstrous contract that's lower AAV, so that helps the Padres. And also something to think about too. We're talking a little bit about AAV, and people aren't aware. It's called average annual value. It's very important for like luxury tax reasons. So if I give you a $300 million contract over 10 years, the average annual value is $30 million, right?
Yeah.
There's all sorts of funny business happens within there, but that's the number that you should keep in mind. So if Manny Machado was given a 12-year deal for that $300 million contract, it actually lowers his annual value, which luxury tax means you can add more people without being penalized. There is a world, and I texted this today, where the average annual value of Xander Bogaerts, Tatis, Soto, and Machado, if they all got extended, and Soto's extension numbers in this idea is 16 years, $500 million, which is insanity. So keep in mind, that's what I'm talking about, is still all of those guys are worth $110 million. That's actually fairly reasonable for those guys. So and that's something that like Preller and Seidler look at. So I think it's very plausible that Preller and Seidler have said they're going to sit down with Soto also for extension talks. So there's a chance that like not only does Manny gets extended, or and also Soto extension, but just imagine on FanFest, just like the four guys up there on stage and be like, oh, these are the four guys, these four monsters for the next 10 years, and Soto Machado, and Soto and Tatis next 14 years.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
It would be unbelievably awesome. Also, there's also no way the Padres aren't going to break every season ticket sales of this next year.
Yeah, they announced that they're going to at some point this year like stop giving out season tickets because they have too many of them. Because there's just like this is where I have no idea what this threshold is, but there's a certain point in which you can't having too many season ticket holders is bad because people can't just come in and buy tickets every day.
That makes sense,
but it's a wild problem to have.
That's a wild problem. I'm saying, like, there's no way we're gonna have. Last year we had 22 sellouts.
Yeah.
We're gonna sell out almost every Tuesday night.
We're a top 5 gate in the league.
Yeah. So that being said, if they were to do that at FanFest, I think we might double that amount of sellouts. Oh,
it could be wild and unbelievable. I mean, the Padres are in such a good financial situation, and as Peter Seidler says, everything gets even better when you win more and more.
Yes.
So,
and you could prove to your fans we want to win and we are trying to win.
Yeah. But that's what I want dearly, is to see all those guys next 10 years. And I so desperately want this in my life. It's about Manny Machado. I want him to see him hit 3,000 hits, and I want him to see him hit 3,000 hits at the San Diego Padre.
Me too.
I think he can do it. I think he has that durability. I think that'd be amazing to have another person hit 3,000 hits as a Padre.
And 500 home runs.
Oh, yeah. I'd be down.
Me too.
Well, James, talk about anything Padre related we should brief the folks with. We're going to be doing a lot of podcasts up until the opening day. So keep an eye out for that.
We're definitely going to do a reaction to FanFest episode.
That'll be fun. Could be. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that, because it could be way too much. Because I don't know if you haven't been to FanFest, folks. It's like half the stadium's open.
Yeah,
and everyone's there, and there's like vendors everywhere, and it's fun. It's a fun time. The team store is way too busy.
You and I never stay longer than a couple hours.
No, we don't. We're also not like big autograph people. We're not standing in line to get autographs with people.
Last year, I stood in line to get Mark Sweeney's autograph for our sister, because Mark Sweeney is our older sister's favorite player of all time.
Yeah. But we're not. Besides that, we're not the kind of guy to stand in line in 45 minutes to get Manny Machado's autograph. I'm not that. So it's just like, it's fun to be around. You feel a taste of baseball. You're at ballpark. It's fun.
Also, it's weird asking somebody who's younger than me for their autograph.
Oh yeah, I definitely have that vibe a lot. I'm like, I don't know.
That's why I have Tony Gwynn memorabilia, and I want to get a Tony Gwynn jersey. I think I ever want to buy a Machado jersey. I'm 10 years older than him.
It is weird.
It's
a weird thing. Yeah, I do like Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter are older than me though.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna a Cruz jersey all the way. Just like I don't think it's just so weird. Like, I'm gonna walk up to some kid. Yeah, he's way talented and way more famous than I'll ever be, but I'm not going to walk. It's like when you see an adult person really into like Twilight or something. Like, now you can like it, but you can't dress up like it.
It's kind of like my policy with home run balls. You and I have been batting practice. It's a fun time. It might be a little silly that we were at home run derby or batting practice. Sorry, I've never been to home run derby. Batting practice. I catch balls. It's a fun time at the ball yard. I don't need the baseball.
No.
I can spend $10 on eBay and get a baseball delivered to me. That's way more valuable and way more sentimental, way cooler than the baseball I just got. Right? It's just like I don't need this. It's fun as a kid because you can't afford anything.
Exactly.
You barely have $2. So, yeah, that's enough old talk. We're on YouTube. Thanks so much for listening to us. We're on Spotify. We're all good podcasts can be found. And until next time, James, go Padres.
Go Padres.